XDN wins again. All right. You know, when you talk this thing called hip hop history, a lot of ignorant people, when you ask people to talk about hip hop, a lot of the people, they start with Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas. Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas. Okay, so to a lot of you, you think hip hop started in 1995? A lot of people, when they talk about the 90s, they say the typical robotic, illogical logic of, well, Death Row was dominating the 90s, and then Bad Boy came out, and then that made the East, rise again. What are you talking about? The East Coast never had a downfall until the mid 2000s. But that's the ignorance of most people when they talk this music, because most people, they go off whatever's mainstream. Have you seen current rap? Anyway, the 90s, not even the 90s, the late 80s, the early 90s, the East Coast hip hop never fell off. I don't know where this lie comes from. Now, one of the albums that helped to maintain the East Coast at the high level it was always at was this album, Enter the Stage, Black Moon. But before I get into that, I just want to make a point. And that point is, East Coast hip hop was never down. It was never being destroyed. It was never being dominated. In the early 90s, 90, 91, 92, 93, there's a group called Naughty by Nature. Naughty by Nature was gigantic. I don't know where this lie comes from that somehow the East Coast was dead, and then Wu-Tang and Nas and Biggie came out. What are you talking about? Where does that come from? Right here. Naughty by Nature was huge. They had monstrous hits, monstrous albums. They sold tremendously. In 90, 91, 92, 93, you still had Eric B. and Rakim. You still had EPMD. You had Freddie Fox. You had De La Soul. You had De La Soul. You had Tribe Called Quest. You had Queen Latifah. Where does this historic lie come from that New York hip hop was non-existent, it was dead until 94 with Nas? What are you talking about? New York hip hop was always number one. Because something becomes popular for a moment, that doesn't mean it destroyed everything else. What are you talking about? Because when Dr. Dre had Deep Cover in The Chronic, yes, that was big. But all you had was Dr. Dre in The Chronic. Okay, you had Too Short, you had other some West Coast acts, but the East Coast was still dominating in the numbers. Tribe Called Quest, Naughty by Nature, Diggable Planets. Even when you get to 93, 94, it wasn't just Nas and Biggie Smalls and Wu-Tang. Diggable Planets. A lot of people, they have this thing of only street hip hop is the only thing that matters. No, it's called hip hop. Some people are poets. Some people are abstract. Some people are many different things. Everything's not gangster rap or mafioso rap or no. But this is the ignorance of the audience. And one of the great groups of that time was also, as I said, Black Moon. And they came out with Enter the Stage in 93. Now this album, when you get to the whole, the street rap of New York coming back, it was Black Moon, Smith and Wesson, and there was many others. They just didn't get the same hype and praise and push as a Nas would get or a Biggie would get in the next year or Wu-Tang later in this year. But Black Moon was very important because there was a time in hip hop when Buckshot was bigger than Biggie, Buckshot was bigger than Nas. That's a fact. There was a time when Buckshot and Black Moon was bigger than Nas. Now, this is a classic, iconic album that helped influence Nas, helped influence Biggie. Another ignorance is a lot of people think, well, someone's a mainstream artist or popular. What do you mean? How could someone underground influence them? Do you people live in another planet? It's like when people in the comments are like, man, this celebrity, they don't know who you are. They ain't watching your channel. Why? I just seen 50 Cent was posting something on his Instagram, and he posted something from another YouTuber, and people like, man, nobody watched this YouTuber. Why do people think that? Because someone's famous, that means they don't watch YouTube? Or you think because someone's famous, They only watch the most famous YouTubers? Like, what are you talking about? If someone is talking about a topic you're interested in, you'll click on it. But once again, the ignorance of a lot of people in the comments. But this album was monumental. Powerful impact. Who got the props? I mean, that's like the big song. Act Like You Want It, Buck 'Em Down. Oh my God. How many MCs must get this? I Got You Open. I like the remix better. Classic, iconic New York 90s hip hop album. Here's the CD. I'm sure there's people in the comments who probably still got this CD. Remember this? Oh, look at Drew Ha. There's a video of him saying the N-word. Anyway, but and here's another one. DJ Evil D, he says, this album was done on blunted terms. Anyone who's offended by the contents of this album, F you. Nuff said. Poetic. All right. Now, for some reason, I haven't listened to this album in a long time, but for some reason, I didn't remember Havoc being on this album. But has it been that long since I listened to this? I don't remember Havoc being on here. Why do I not remember that? But this is a classic. How do I not? Has it been that long? When was the last time I listened to this album? I don't know. But this album. Oh, the Source magazine. Wait, do they have the actual article here? Hold on. Can I pull up the article here? Make sure you hit the like button. Did I say that? Damn it! Hit the like button. Share this video. Subscribe to this. Oh, get Obama up out of here. Stinking ass. All right, but yeah, this whole idea that like the 90s was like in the grave because the Chronic came out. Like, what are you talking about? Lords of the Underground, LL Cool J, KRS-One that's when KRS-One went solo. Redman came out. Like, I don't know, like the ignorance when people talk about hip hop is just so amazing, especially when they talk about the history. It is just amazing. But I've heard this for like the last 15 years, like this idea that, you know, New York was dead until 94. What are you talking about? What are these people talking about? First of all, Nas had Halftime in 92. Biggie's demo was from like, what, 91, 92? Like, the ignorance, it just befiddles me. Cool G Rap was out. Master Ace was out. New York had the numbers by far. The West Coast didn't have a real surge numbers-wise until like the late 90s. The early 90s, they were still establishing themselves like MC8 and DJ Quick. They had great talents, but they weren't outdoing the East Coast. But once again, for some reason, people only go by what's the most mainstream popular thing at the moment, that prisoner of the moment mentality. But anyway, let's go to this article. It's recounting when Black Moon dropped Enter the Stage. It says Black Moon dropped their acclaimed debut Enter the Stage in 1993, produced by DJ Evil D and Mr. Walt of the Beat Miners. Oh my God, Beat Miners. Know your history. Serving as an entry point to the direction of mid-90s East Coast rap. Exactly. This album drastically put things in the direction that Wu-Tang was taking it, and Nas would take it, and Biggie would take it. That's a fact. Black Moon deserves their credit. Now, the last time I talked about... The last time I talked about Black Moon... Subscribe to all my channels. The last time I spoke on Black Moon on this channel, Buckshot Shorty was getting his ass whooped by like a 16-year-old Puerto Rican. Let's see here. They laid the smack down on him. And then Doggy Diamonds went off. But yeah, so that's the last time I talked about Black Moon on this channel, I guess. Anyway, the album spawned 2 singles that performed moderately well on the charts. Who Got the Props? Classic. I Got You Open. Classic. Once again, I like the remix better. But propelled by the lyrical skills of Buckshot. Enter the Stage was really rough for me. It was a really rough era, he revealed, Buckshot, in a 2005 interview. A lot of people don't know what I went through personally. I think I just turned 18 and I had the pressure of running a management company as an 18-year-old shorter than 5'6". Okay, why would your height have to do with anything? Short niggas. I had that problem of people taking my company and my representation seriously. So a day in the life around Enter the Stage era was based on constant struggle and letting people know you respect Duck Down Management as a real management company, and not just some little cute thing Buckshot is doing. Wait, hold on. Is this a Buckshot quote or is this Drew Ha speaking? Okay, I think it's Buckshot. For real, we're a management type for real, we're a management type deal. I was battling keeping Smith and Wesson in a good deal. I was battling trying to keep Helter Skelter. The late great Sean Price. A good deal. I was battling trying to bring my record company into existence. So it was a really hard time rather. All right. And this album dropped on, I believe, October 19th, 1993. Once again, and also like this is a time when I believe this was still the cassette tape era. So they had, this Enter the Stage, the first stage, the second stage. I believe this was in the cassette tape era. And if you look at who was on the album, Buckshot, Tech, Steel, obviously, Havoc, Drew Ha. Drew Ha, every time I see him, something real funny about him. But let's see who else is here. The Beat Miners, Evil D, 5 Foot. All right, let's see. Anyone else? Okay. And I think it should have the on this site. This is Discogs. I think they should. Yeah, here's the cassette tape. Yeah, here we go. The cassette tape era. Let's see this here. Black Moon. Yeah, so the first stage and then second stage. Let's see the cassette. Wow, it looks real plain and generic. It's definitely not the purple tape, but the cassette tape era. Classic. Oh, here we go. What a beautiful time. What a beautiful time in life, the 90s. Oh, such a simpler time. All right, so let's see here. It's the back cover again. CD. All right. And then even influence, according to Wikipedia, not even according, but Wikipedia. Though not as widely heralded as some similar groundbreaking East Coast albums, like I said, with the commercial success of Illmatic, Rated I, Wu-Tang, Onyx, and the infamous from Mobb Deep, it was critically acclaimed on a similar level. Black Moon, Boot Camp Click, Diggable Planets, these people deserve credit. De La Soul don't get enough credit. There's so many people from that era that, Ill Al Scratch, whatever happened to them? Damn. There's some OC, I think a little later on, Lord Finesse. You had so many people from that New York, New Jersey. I mentioned Lords of the Underground, that's New Jersey, but like the New York, New Jersey, that tri-state area as a whole, that like the East Coast was like there. New York was like, what are you talking about? They had everything. Pete Rock and CL Smooth, Heavy D. I don't know where that ignorance comes from. I don't know. You had leaders of the new school. You had so many people in that New York, New Jersey, the East Coast. I don't know where that lie comes from that they were nothing until 94, 95. I don't get where that comes from. I do not understand that. If you have not heard this album, shame on you. You need to go hear it. It influenced everything that came after it in that same era. All Music talked about the importance of the album, saying it set the tone for much of hip hop to follow. Biggie Smalls, Noriega, and it goes on and on and on. Now, once again, one thing I disagree with, it says, the return of New York City street hip hop resurgence. I don't know. What does it mean by resurgence? I don't even, like in this article, in Wikipedia, it says the right thing, but then it says the resurgence. What resurgence? There was never a downfall at that time. The downfall of East Coast hip hop came in the mid 2000s when Jay-Z and Puffy abandoned New York artists and went to go to the South, and 50 Cent is insecure and feminine, so he had to diss everybody. Great, that's what destroyed the East Coast. Not Biggie. What destroyed East Coast hip hop is the executives got tired of New York rappers. The executives, see, this is one thing they don't tell you. Labels got tired of 50 Cent. They got tired of certain figures, and they went to the South. So the labels went to the South, and then Puffy and Jay-Z followed that mindset. Because that's when Jay-Z destroyed Def Jam, and we're getting rid of everybody, and we're going to go get Officer Rick Ross and Young Jeezy. Puffy, okay, I'm going to abandon looking for New York artists. I'm going to go get Young Jock. That's what happened. That's when the fall was, not in the early 90s. I don't understand this. But with that said, I'm up out of here. XDN wins. Black Moon, iconic. Legendary. Buckshot got to get a pistol. If you want to support the channel, you can click the join button under the video. If you want to support the channel, or if you have a video request, if you want me to review a classic album, current album, whatever the case, if you like a video about a certain topic, you can donate to the Cash App. It's $XDN online, and I'm up out of here. That is it.